Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Generally Speaking. I'm your host, Bill Lawrence. Today is Tuesday, September. What is it? The 30th, 2025. All right. What happened in the last day or two? We had this AI video, very interesting, funny actually, about some new invention, medical beds, med beds for short, that you just lay in one of these things and it'll cure you of anything you have. And it was being commented on by um, Laura Trump. Right, she was being the person saying this wonderful bed is coming to a place near you soon, and there were it's all the whole thing was AI generated. Laura wasn't real, but at any rate, there's a segment in there where even President Trump is saying a couple of words about it. This great new thing coming, and Trump came across it and reposted it, which is so funny because he's in it, so he knows he had nothing to do with it, and yet he reposted it. This medical beds thing that doesn't exist. Okay, there you go. What else we got? This was from a channel I like to watch called Occupied Democrats. And Trump has published an enemies list. This is the kind of administration we're getting into now. We have enemies list, and of course they're all Democrat lefties. An enemies list, and the right says the lefties are the violent ones, are the ones going after us. Yes, going after you guys. Right. All right. What else we got? We got State Representative John Gillette or Gillette. He's calling for Pramila Jayapal, who's another congressperson, to be hanged. Not just, in the street hanged, through the legal process, tried, brought to court, and then hanged, as long as the end result is she gets hanged. So these are the kind of things that the right says. And I got to point this out because I was watching one of those Fox shows, the one that has Greg Gutfeld on it, and he was getting into a heated debate with the one lefty on the panel that presents the left sides, and he was going on and on about how it's the left that has all the violence, and Jessica Tarlov, the lefty person, was saying, well, actually, studies have shown that all the violence in the recent past, or just take the past, the whole past, has been 75% done by the right. And Greg Gutfeld says, that I looked into this study, and it's been debunked. It's not true. Particularly the Federalist Society debunked it. Now, it's considering that the Federalist Society, certainly has an agenda. They wrote the Project 2025. They're totally the right wing. You might say, what good is anything that they put forward? All right. Well, look, if they put it forward, you've got to say, well, what did they base it on and all? At any rate, so now the concept, the whole idea is up in the air. Is it true that the right always does the violence? At least to me, just listening to the facts. All I know is what I see on the internet, the surface. But meanwhile, all the things that I've seen recently, not going into some study of 25 years and so, when I see on the news, so and so shot at the president, so and so shot this person, so and so shot that person, and the right always wants it to be a lefty. It never is. It's always a right wing person. Oh, once or twice they got a trans person, and so now they're swearing every trans person is an evil, right wing hating, killer. And yeah, okay, you had that one person, but all the other ones, they're always right wing. The Charlie Kirk person, they wanted to scream, he's such a lefty. Nobody really knows what his position is yet. There's all kinds of controversies about the Charlie Kirk assassination. Actually, was Israel involved? Erica Kirk, what's up with her? Her father and Kirk and Trump were friends long before she ever met Charlie. That maybe their marriage was a setup. And conspiracies, how they just keep, flying. No matter what happens, there's never something can happen that's just simple. I swatted a fly. Oh, you swatted a fly. Well, did you know that fly belonged to so and so? Oh, it's crazy. But anyway, the right they always want to jump on its left, and that's their whole problem. They want war. They want to attack. You don't hear the lefties saying this is how bad the right is. We've got to get them. We've got to get them. Now, I mean, we'll say, I'll be happy to say that this is what they do because that's what they do. I'm not saying we have to get them. Go get them. Attack them. You know, let's get lists, enemies lists, and put them on there. Now, personally, I'm thinking every Republican needs to be kicked out because they're just slavishly following anything Trump says, no matter whether it is against the Constitution or not. I would want to see them all kicked out. But all right, so what happens? Something else. The UK, France, and Germany are claiming something called a snapback. Snapback sanctions against Iran. What's snapback? That means we're going to remove the sanctions, but if you do the wrong thing, the sanctions are going to snap back into place, and you're going to have sanctions again. And so they claimed, Iran, you did something wrong. We got to snap back on you. But Iran didn't do any of those things. So there's an issue going on there. You're looking at what's going on in the world right now up front. There you go. That's one of them. All right. So the budget has to be passed, or the government goes into a shutdown, which is always so interesting. How the one agency that doesn't get shut down, you know, shut down means you don't get paid, is because some of those people, they don't get paid, but they're not really shut down. You still got to come to work, and because you're important, but you don't get paid. Although you'll get paid later, back pay, you know, after everything settles and it's back to normal. But you know who doesn't suffer that, of course, is the Congress people. They keep getting paid because those are essential. It's essential that they get paid. All right. So I mean, look, I forget about it. All right. So that's that. So someone was talking about uh, um, what Dems? Oh, I skipped something. About the. Let me continue with that while I'm at it. All right. So someone was saying, you know, if the Democrats work with the Republicans to grant what's called a continuing resolution, you know, let them uh, continue with it. For in exchange for a promise to keep the Affordable Care Act, because this is what they're very concerned about. There's a lot of things to be concerned about in the current economic proposals environment. But someone was saying, look, let's focus on the Affordable Care Act. If you agree to keep that, we'll agree with the temporary continuing resolution. It's only a stopgap thing. And someone was saying, yeah, sure, oh, they would agree with that. And then Trump, right afterwards, he'll just cancel funding to the blue states. You know, I didn't cancel the Affordable Care Act, but it's the money for it's just going to red states now, which it's kind of funny because a lot of them said, no, we don't want to have anything to do with it because we'd rather, you know, the population in our states, you know, suffer not having any medical care. But, you know, just the idea that Trump would do something, administration would do something like that, it's entirely reasonable. So what else we got? Democrats and the Republicans, and someone was saying, you know, Democrats, what do they got to offer? You know, the only thing they say is we're not Trump. And you know, what did Trump offer? He said, "Let make America great again." What was that? Just some empty slogan? Make America great again? Oh, he said we're going to make the economy better. Just that's it. Make economy better. Oh, and deal with the immigration crisis. You know, most people don't experience any immigration crisis. Most people don't even see these immigrants. Oh, okay, yes. Maybe you'll see them working for a lawn maintenance company. Maybe you'll see them in a restaurant. Maybe you'll see them somewhere, but not in some kind of crisis mode. The only reason people think it's a crisis is because they hear the Fox News saying it's a crisis. It's a crisis. Millions of people coming over. And so now these people who have no contact or impact from these millions of people, now that's their talking point. There's millions of people coming over. It's a horror. Okay. So I mean that's the way that goes. And the Dems, so what have they got to offer? I'll tell you one thing. If even trying to say, you know, they have nothing except not Trump, I mean, that's almost something because right now we've got insanity, we've got craziness, we got a person in the office who's putting military in the streets. This is unheard of. Military in the streets. As soon as he got in office, started saying he's going to take over Panama Canal. He's going to take over Canada. He's going to start a war with Greenland. He's going to attack everybody left and right. And starting tariffs and now and tourism is down. Nobody will come in because ICE might just say, "I don't like the way you look," and lock you up for 2 weeks. Nice vacation to the United States. You're in a nice detention center for 2 weeks. I wonder if they have any postcards in there to send home. Wish you were here. All right. Mike Johnson, there's a person who won an election in Arizona, I think, and it was a Democrat. Now, if a Democrat is in the Congress, she can vote democratically, and there's an effort going on to release the Epstein files, and it's being blocked right now because all the votes to block it are Republican. But now, when this Democrat comes in, there'll be enough votes to force this issue to be acted upon. So, what does Mike Johnson do? He's refusing to seat her. This is just like McConnell, who refused to let the judges, Supreme Court judges, be placed in by Obama when there was 6 months left to go in the office. But when he had an appointee coming up with only 2 weeks left, he said, "No, let's push that appointee through." So no, I'm not McConnell. Mike Johnson is refusing to seat this person, and he can't just refuse it. He's got to seat her. But he said, you know what? Let's all go on vacation. Let's go on break. We're going to start the weekend early, and so kick that can down the road as long as he can. This is the way these guys operate. All right. So what else? iHip. That's a website, a channel that I watch. iHip News. It's I hate it something, and they're reporting on a national security directive that is recently been promulgated, which does what? It targets anti-Christian, anti-capitalism, anti-American opinions, targets it as evidence of extremist violence. It authorizes 4,000 counter-terrorist agents to investigate pre-crimes. So if you're talking about there shouldn't be 10 commandments in school, that's anti-Christian. If you're talking about, you know, gays should be allowed to be married, that's anti-traditional American values, American family values. And this is evidence of an extreme extremist violence. It's a pre-crime. So this is where McCarthy meets Tom Cruise. You know, Tom Cruise was in that movie, The Minority Report, where they could see into the future and they could arrest you for committing a crime you haven't committed yet. It was a great movie, by the way, The Minority Report. The minority was because there were three psychics that could see if these crimes were happening, but sometimes they didn't all see the same thing. There would be one who saw something different, and that would be the Minority Report. So, but it was a great story. I like Tom Cruise, and so targeting extremist views of migration. If you've got an extremist view of migration, which I guess, if DACA, we should allow the dreamers, the kids that were brought over as kids, and they're illegals. So there wasn't anything that they came illegally. They were brought over by mom and dad when they were babies. If you think they should be, given some path to citizenship. Well, that's an extreme view of migration. They're going to have an issue with that. Extreme views of race and gender. I'm not sure what the extreme view of race and gender is. I guess if you think there should be gender equality, right? Trans people have rights also. Up, that's going to be bad. How about race? I guess if you think DEI is acceptable, that's an extreme view of race. Facing the black lead, and they're going to start coming after you. We're going into the police state. We're going into the police state. Where are the Democrats in this battle? All right, clearly they mostly don't exist. The progressives, which is what I am, and the people that I watch, they're progressives. I used to think of them as the Democrats, but you know what? They're not. They're the progressives. The Democrats are corporatist, pro-Israel, fascist enablers. Those are the majority. And until we get more progressives in, and some of them are not calling themselves progressive so much, they like the title Democratic Socialist, like Zoran Mamdani or AOC, calling themselves Democratic Socialists. Until we get more of them, people who aren't, suckers for the Israeli money, the APAC money. I wonder about that. These are like gangsters. Some of these people, in fact, we all know there are gangsters in this world, and they're all over the place, right? You talk about the Latin American countries. They love to say, Venezuela, Colombia, they're all really under the thumbs of the cartel. The cartel's embedded in there, and so how much are enemy forces or bad actors, I say, how many of them are embedded in our system and in every government, where people who are willing to, kill you and let if you make that decision, it might not be good for your health. You know, I don't know. And internationally speaking, I wonder if there's any associations with them. International crime rings or the crime rings. Well, I'm the U.S. crime ring. I'm the Israeli crime ring. I'm the Russian, the Chinese. Every country has their own crime rings. Are there any international? Is there a union of crime gangs? And then even in each country, is there such a thing as the U.S. crime ring, the Israeli? I mean, maybe there are several crimes, right? Several groups. I mean, we've heard about infighting between criminal gangs. The whole, who controls the world thing is an interesting discussion and something probably no one ever really gets to know because who's in bed with these criminals and who's going to even talk about it, right? The most we can do is one of those, see what happens and try to piece together the pieces. All right, so that's that. The Border Patrol. I was watching a video. We've got these Border Patrols, FBI's, DHS, all these different law enforcement agencies patrolling the streets now. The law says this act called Posse Comitatus says the military will never be used for law enforcement in the states. And it seems as if the military has been considered to be National Guard right now. And so, look, if it's not the National Guard, then we can send in Border Patrol, we can send in FBI, we can send in Department of Homeland Security, we can send in ICE, we can send in this one. Okay, not the Marines and not the Navy, but all these other agencies, these authorities, they're not part of that posse comitatus thing. So we got all these people in there. I was watching a video of someone very upset with all these thugs in the streets because that's what they are. They've been given rights to do almost whatever they want, so they can push people around. They push people to the ground. You say so. One person is driving past them, and he starts saying offensive things about Trump, offensive things, and you see all of these, masked men start running after him. He was on a bicycle, so he was able to take off. But what would they do if they would caught him, right? You can't say offensive things about the president, and they would have taken him, beaten him, probably. Who knows? He might have been disappeared. This is the way things are going. All right, let's go talk about. I'm almost done here. This is a quick one. Hawaii. Hawaii. I've never been there. It sounds beautiful. It's a touristy place, right? If you live there, it's very expensive. So, at any rate, this was a religion article about some property that was sold to a person way back in the 1920s, 4 acres of land, and it was sold with the intention of, yes, we'll sell it to you, but you can only use it for church purposes. Wait, why would they say that? Well, the person buying it was a church person. So, I mean, I still don't get it. There's more to this story but those points are really irrelevant. What's relevant is that was how it was sold. These acres, you can have it, but it only has to be used for religious purposes. So it never got developed for anything. Come up to the present day, and it's changed hands a couple of times, and this person wants to use it for his business. He wants to put a business on this small little 4 acres. And right away runs into the issue with how you can't do that. It's got to be used for religion. So he takes it to court. And the Hawaii Supreme Court eventually says, you can use it. And they go on to this really violent tirade. At least one of them. There were several members, giving their opinion, saying yes, it can be done. And this one fellow says, "You know what? I want to give a concurring statement. I want to write my own scribbling, my own little thoughts on the matter." And he just went off on the Supreme Court with saying how they have just whittled away all of the separation between church and state, such that now they've made it where the taxpayers have to pay for religious indoctrination, where they've got to pay for private church schools, because if they're going to give money, if they're going to give vouchers to public church schools, they got to be fair. They can't prejudice against church schools, right? Religious schools. So they got to give them money. So now taxpayer money has to be paid to teach people about a particular religion. And this guy was just going off on it. And I just wanted to make a comment. Besides the interesting thing in that, it's back to the idea that the laws are there and they're supposed to interpret the laws, and there's supposed to be this impartiality. There's no such thing as impartiality. Everybody's got their opinions, and when people say this is what the law means or this is what the law says, it's according to what their opinion is. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's the way it's supposed to be. The essence of the times, of the present. You shouldn't be interpreting something based on what happened in 1788. The whole different world, a whole different, everything. Interpret it in terms of the world now. Don't say this is what, they meant back then. I mean, actually, while I say that, I still kind of want to go back there in terms of gun rights, because gun rights were originally given to the population based on the need for a militia, to fight against, if suddenly the government becomes outrageous, you need a militia. They didn't want everybody to have a gun just for the heck of having a gun. They wanted a militia so they could call up the population in case Britain comes in again. And we need an immediate response. Let all the people come, because they didn't have a standing army. So they needed people to come and fight the British. So that was that. At any rate, what's coming up is, in my next one, is the call to all the generals and admirals to have a meeting with Hegseth, which had happened today, this Tuesday. And what was it about? Telling them that they need to have respect. They have to have a loyalty to the president. And if you don't, you'll get fired. And what's the point of this? The point of this is, well, the president's going to plan to send troops, like he's already got troops. He's working and he's showing, see, I can do this. I can put troops in the ground. And he says, but I don't just want troops. I want troops there that are willing to kill people. And he's already said now he wants troops in Portland, war ravaged Portland. And meanwhile, you see videos of Portland, and there's people just sitting on a park bench feeding the squirrels, sitting in Main Street on their little cafe, in the cafes, outdoor cafes, sipping tea. And what? Oh, no, he's got to protect the ice facilities there under attack. You look at the ice facilities, there's nobody there. It's like vacant, empty. It's like ghost world. And he wants to send them in for war ravaged Portland. This is all BS. Talks about he's sending the troops for the crime. It's nothing to do with crime. It's he wants to have his military out there and everybody take it as normal, and you see this is and him see what the difficulties and problems, the logistics with putting the military out there so he can fine tune and tweak it. And now he wants his generals, and he, when he sent them to Portland, he said, I want you to go there and I authorize you to shoot and kill anybody. Use whatever force you need. So now, a lot of people have been comparing this to Hitler's Germany, because it's exactly the same thing. What they said, the generals, you no longer are beholden to the Constitution. You're beholden to the ruler. No, what was the name? The Führer. There, you're beholden to the Führer. That's your first allegiance, and so that's what Trump is saying now. And I was watching a podcast. I can't remember her name, but she had on a number of military persons, ex-military persons, all decrying what the Trump administration is doing, and encouraging all the generals and the admirals and every military person not to accept any illegal orders, not to do anything of what this president tells you. If you get court-martialed for not listening, get court-martialed. And I was watching some of Trump's speech, and it was really horrific, horrific the things he was saying. So I guess I was going to put that in the next one. I guess that's in this one. So all right, there you go. Oh, one last thing: subscribe, like, and hit the notify bell, and also recognize this. I'm just somebody reporting what I heard from other people that what they hear. So I'm a third-hand reporter. Don't take anything I say as gospel, as real. Look at other sources. I can be mistaken. Some of the information I get could be mistaken. I try to be as truthful as possible. I don't want to. I've got my spins. I've got my takes. I'm saying Trump's trying to be a dictator. That's my take on it. If someone else wants to say no, he's just giving the country what it needs. That's your take. But the information I give is the straight information that he called all the generals, and he's telling them you need to be loyal to me. You interpret it, how you like. I interpret it how I like. But just remember, don't take me as gospel. Don't take anybody as gospel. Always look at all the different sources. Look at everything you see everywhere. Put the pieces together. See what makes sense and what doesn't, and do that. So, thank you for watching again, and you all take care.